Oke, ih, nggak worth it banget sih makanan Indo dibikin fancy kayak gitu. Pasti mahal. I wanna ask you, how many of you that have said this word or heard this word? To be honest, this is what I did juga gitu loh. I used to be like this. I used to say this thing when I go to people's restaurants, especially Indonesian fine dining. Tapi it's something yang really bugging me nowadays, especially when I'm in the industry, because kayak berasa tuh is a burden yang selalu bugging us as Indonesian chef. Kayak kenapa sih makanan Indonesia susah banget untuk kita elevate and to make people appreciate it. That's why the real question is why Indonesian cuisines is still not as much appreciated as Western cuisine. I'm not alone. I've discussed with a couple of my chefs friends from different restaurants that been abroad and come back to Indonesia and want to elevate our Indonesian cuisine. But the fact, the market is not ready. The market is not accepting it. We always think like, how many of you that think pasta is better than bakmi? Sebenarnya kalau kita we really dig them down gitu loh. Sebenarnya makanan Italia ataupun Western cuisine nggak selalu lebih fancy dan maybe terkesan terlihatnya iya, tapi sebenarnya kalau kita lihat seperti makanan Italia, they're really simple. It's not a lot of different ingredients, it's not a lot of different macam-macamnya tekniknya. Semua pemasakan cuma pasta direbus, masuk, campur saus, aduk-aduk-aduk, 5 menit jadi. Sedangkan makanan kita yang sangat kaya akan flavor, sangat kaya akan bumbu-bumbuan, originality, budaya, dan lain-lain. Tapi kita nggak pernah melihat itu, dan ketika kita ke restoran, bayar lebih mahal makanan Indonesia, kita merasa kayak, I'm being robbed. It's not worth it, gitu. And it's really sad for me and for the industry. And it's a challenge that yang I think is a crisis gitu loh. But before I go deeper, banyak orang bilang kalau lu nggak kenal nggak sayang. So let me introduce myself. My name is Brian Ferishananda. I'm from Top 5 MasterChef Indonesia season ke-8. And like teman-teman tadi yang udah boleh kenalin aku, thank you by the way. Sekarang what I'm doing is a private dining chef. I work together with a lot of different brands like Bosch, Tokusen, Jaffa, Food Hall, and many more gitu loh. But yeah, this is during my time in MasterChef, my season. But before we go step further aside, I want to go back again. The real question is why? Why we keep doing this? Why the market is not accepting our own cuisine, our own culture, gitu. And it really boils me down, gitu. Apa sih yang sebenarnya membuat kita susah, gitu? Is it because of the stigma, Western mentality, Western-centric mentality? Like we always think Western country is better, live over there is better, the music, Hollywood, you name it, gitu loh. Apakah karena itu? Atau apakah karena it's not enough exposure? We don't have enough information that we get about the culture, the stories, the artisan that makes the food and the products gitu. Atau apakah the quality of the ingredient or the human? Is it because of that gitu loh. But once I've discussed with a lot of my friends in the industry, the burger owners, the business owner, the head chef, the hotel chef and everything, I think it's in summary it's a really complicated situation gitu loh. It's not only a single thing, but it's everything. It's really convoluted and intertwined satu sama lain gitu loh. Dari produknya, dari SDM, dari semua, dari market, dari bisnis dan lain-lain gitu loh. And disitulah juga yang akhirnya memberikan saya burden kayak I need to interview some people juga gitu loh. And that's why I've interviewed a couple of my friends who is in the industry. One of them is my friends in MasterChef. But before MasterChef and even until now, he's actually a teacher in Universitas Padjadjaran Bandung di divisi food anthropology. For those of you who doesn't know, food anthropology is basically people that really dig down about the history, the budaya, semuanya. Kayak kecap ini tuh berasal dari mana? Bakmi itu berasal dari mana? Sejarahnya dia teliti. Dia udah keliling Indonesia dari Sumatera, Aceh, turun sampai Lampung, sampai kemana-mana dia udah teliti itu. Ada juga teman aku, Konatan, he's a CEO of Iwak Arumeri. If you don't know, Iwak is basically arak, alkohol yang emang tradisi dari Indonesia sudah lama, emang minum arak dan pembuatan arak itu sebenarnya part of our tradition in Indonesian gitu loh. Dan dia menciptakan suatu hal yang baru, yang dimana packagingnya lebih bagus, kualitasnya dinaikkan dan lain-lain. Dan dia juga sebenarnya seorang budayawan. He's the one that really cares about our culture, really cares about the perceived value that we have as a society in Indonesia about our own budaya gitu loh. And last one, probably some of you already know Chef Hans Christian. Some of you ever heard August Restaurant in SCBD. He's actually one of the best chef in Jakarta. His restaurant is rated as number 46 in Asia. Can you imagine so many restaurants? He's number 46, guys. He's legit. I'm not kidding. I worked with him before in Chicago. So I used to study in Chicago and work over there in Chicago. And he used to be in Chicago as well. So when he did an event, I helped him. So that's why I know him. And that's why I interviewed him to discuss about this reality. And with that being said, this is some of the point of view that we discuss. And this is what the point of view that I got juga from Seto. It's actually the questions that I asked them at the beginning, kayak, do you think it's a really real problem gitu loh? Do you see this as an existing problem di mana Indonesian cuisine masih nggak di-appreciate di dunia fine dining especially gitu. And then the first thing that he said is actually, word fine dining sendiri, lo mikir nggak, Bray? Kata fine dining itu sebenarnya bukan Indonesian gitu loh, bukan culture-nya Indonesia. Yes, we might have, Yes, we might have kerajaan di zaman dulu, banyak sekali kerajaan-kerajaan, maybe kalian belajar sejarah pada saat dulu, even sampai sekarang kita belajar banyak sekali kerajaan Majapahit dan lain-lain, dan ketika Belanda masuk dan lain-lain, itu banyak sekali makanan kerajaan. Tapi tetap emang dari awal, the food culture is quote-unquote similar like now, yang dimana emang lebih merakyat, makan di tengah, dan lain-lain gitu loh. Nah, habis itu, lack of information, for him, is a really real problem. A lot of our product, a lot of our artisans yang di Bali, di Jawa, di Jogja, di mana, yang emang really love their creation, their product really into it, tapi nggak banyak yang yang tahu akan itu, informasinya nggak keluar. Which that's gonna relate to Konatan's point of view. Nanti aku bakal bahas. Nah, itu juga yang akhirnya sebenarnya another problem yang kita discuss. Banyak barang kita yang bagus, ujung-ujungnya kemana? Export. Everything goes out. How many of you knows that our tuna in Papua water actually get exported to Japan? A lot. I'm not kidding. Aku suka mancing, saya suka mancing ke tengah laut, 3 hari 3 malam di atas kapal terombang-ambing. Tapi it's fun, we catch like 20 kilos fish, segede, literally segede. Kayak gitu, kita pergi mancing, and it's a common discussion between us yang suka mancing, kayak a lot of our product, our fish, itu yang kualitasnya top notch nomor 1, langsung dibawa keluar untuk dijual, di ekspor. Why? Karena market kita sendiri belum bisa terima itu. Berapa banyak kalian yang masih terngiang-ngiang salmon lebih bagus daripada kerapu lokal kita? Atau red snapper lokal kita? Dan selalu memikirkan, oh red snapper datang dari Jepang, the one that came from Japan is way better than Indonesia, or maybe tuna, for example. In fact, a lot of our tuna being sent to outsource, to export to Japan, and then end up go back to Indonesia again, that's really sad gitu loh. I'm almost like, dang, that's ngomong legally or illegally itu banyak, yang legally exported ataupun illegally exported is a common thing yang we know as ini gitu loh. But it's really sad, kita sebagai pemain industri, sebagai teman-teman chef, sushi chef saya yang beli ikan dari Papua, datang gitu, itu pun aja rebutan sama supplier, karena most of them are being exported. Tapi orang masih taunya is from Japan, datang ke sini, harganya jauh lebih mahal, and then we're like, woo, good job Japan, it's really cool gitu loh. But we never appreciate our own sea, our own richness in this country, whether the sea, the land, and everything gitu, the product gitu. Terus selanjutnya, sidat atau eel. How many of you know that in Japan they can actually already limited the production of eel because they want to conserve the eel. Jadi it is actually part of the endangered species. Makanya untuk pengembangannya sudah dilimit. Makanya mereka import dari luar. Salah satunya Indonesia ada di Cilacap atau apalah ya, daerah-daerah itu aku lupa, kemarin sempat discuss sama Kang Seto. Kita ada emang produk glass eel yang emang tumbuh naturally, mereka masih belum bisa di farm, mereka itu emang ditangkap secara naturally, dikembangbiakan, dibesarkan, dan produk kita diekspor juga gitu loh. Tapi nggak banyak yang tahu akan itu. They still think unagi, the one that you eat in Japanese restaurants is outsourced, is delicious from out there gitu. Ya memang maybe pasti ada perbedaan dan lain-lain, tapi Indonesia juga nggak kalah gitu. Nah lanjut ke poinnya Konatan. For him, the problem is about the perceived value. Branding, dari cara orang melihat. Berapa banyak produk kita yang bagus tapi tidak di-package dengan baik, tidak di-package dengan in a nice way, a nice story, yang itu juga lack of information for him is not only from the outside, it's from the inside, from the maker itself, the artisan itself. They have the good product, but they cannot tell a good stories, they cannot tell the background stories that make people intrigued to buy their product, or even ngulik produk mereka ataupun budayanya. Kalau itu aja tidak bisa tersampaikan dengan baik, gimana orang mau feel excited to buy our own ingredient? Kalau iklan zaman dulu, cintailah produk-produk lokal atau produk-produk Indonesia gitu kan, zaman dulu iklan seperti itu. Tapi it's really hard because like we don't tell a good stories to the market gitu loh. That's why it's a problem for us right now. We still see that it's an industry ekosistem yang akhirnya membuat masyarakat masih melihat produk luar lebih bagus, culture dan lain-lain dan juga makanannya. Nah, the interesting point when I come to his restaurant and I talk and sit with him, the first thing that he said to me is like, depends on who you are talking to. Because dia pasarnya bukan hanya pasar orang Indonesia. Sejak dia mendapatkan the number 46 restaurants by top 50 best restaurants in the world, top 50 best is a society yang dimana dia datang ke restoran untuk ngomongin hal-hal itu, rating restaurants. And itu makanya akhirnya mengundang banyak market-market luar. And then a lot of market luar appreciate our product, appreciate our food, appreciate our culture. Yang for foreigners, our cuisine is really interesting, gitu loh. Dan akhirnya yang membuat orang-orang Indo juga mulai interested. Makanya restoran dia, he really works. He's been like what, 3 years above, restorannya buka and full every day, gitu loh. Padahal his cuisine is actually Indonesian inspired. He doesn't say that his food is Indonesian cuisine, but he said Indonesian inspired. Nah itulah kenapa yang dia bilang sebenarnya juga it's just the culture in Indonesia. Maksudnya food Indonesia is part of the culture, emang sudah begitu. Lu jangan berharap untuk mau mengubah sampai gimana. Dalam arti, nasi Padang, lu makan, masuk restoran langsung berjajaran. Sekali makan maybe ya 50, 60 ribu sampai 100 ribu. Kalau lu makan di warteg 15 ribu, 20 ribu, kenyang gitu. Emang it's just already part of our culture. You cannot deny that. And itulah kenapa kita sebagai chef, that's our burden, our responsibility to create something unique value, unique perceived value yang membuat orang kayak interesting. What he did in his restaurant and what he's been doing right now is basically Indonesian inspired adalah flavor-flavornya pakai local ingredient, tapi the way he played it, the way he bring up his food, the way he does the service, from the front service, the back end service, everything is way better, and then dikemas dengan begitu cantik yang pas lu makan, ini nggak rawon guys, tapi kok rasanya kayak rawon, gitu loh. Jadi membuat orang kayak, this is cool. And if you really pay attention on it, juga banyak dari industri kita sebenarnya lack of government support dari sisi tourism. Contoh lah Thailand. Thailand banyak sekali disponsor oleh pemerintahnya, ngundang Michelin Guide, ngundang top 50 best untuk datang ke country-nya untuk promote the restaurants. And it works. A lot of people that loves food really travel to that country to go to the restaurants to try. For example, like his restaurants, a lot of foreigners come to his restaurants to try his food after the top 50 best gitu loh. Nah tapi itulah kenapa akhirnya menurut dia government support tuh masih kurang. Kita kurang exposure di dunia luar. Cuma mengharapkan, liputan luar baru kayak, rendang nomor 1 guys, and then everyone's like, rendang nomor 1, this is cool gitu loh. But di belakang itu tidak ada support yang lebih kencang dari situ. Sayangnya di situ. So, in summary, from our discussion from the 3 different peoples and all the occasions that I've been with other people, in summary, the problem is really complicated. Like I said, it's not just the government, it's not just the product, it's not just the makers and everything, it's everything. Everything is intertwined, interconnected, complicated. It's susah kayak bola benang yang sudah kusut tuh, susah banget gitu loh untuk dipecah satu-satu. And then juga lacking of information or good storytelling. Without a good storytelling, without a story yang bisa lu membuat people intrigued, ya nggak ada information yang bisa masuk juga gitu loh. Maka itu juga yang menghasilkan the lacking of pride of our own culture, the perceived value, yang membuat kayak produk kita kalah nih sama luar, alkohol kita kalah nih araknya sama Macallan bla 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 gitu. Ya probably Macallan already been so many years berkembang biak di sana. Wine kita Sababai dan lain-lain gitu yang ada di Bali yang masih baru gitu. Tapi bukan berarti jelek gitu. They're still in the process of keep growing, and keep growing. Tapi itulah yang I feel in summary that's the problem that we have gitu. So the real questions and the next questions is what can we do with the situations, with this problem, with this stigma gitu. I feel I want to divide it into two portion, yaitu kita sebagai rakyat umum dan juga pemain-pemain F&B yang kalau kalian interested in F&B juga yang emang mau meneruskan karir di F&B, I feel this is the questions that we need to ask and juga do and react. First yaitu acknowledge the problem. Without you acknowledging the problem, there won't be any solutions because you won't think about it, you won't do anything about it without you realizing it. Before, like I said, at the beginning I was also judging, right? Like, oh, Indonesian restaurant make it fancy. Come on, I can go to warteg 15.000 and I'm super full of that. Compared to certain hotel 5-star 700K for rendang gitu loh. Padahal rendangnya pakai wagyu beef cheek and everything gitu loh. I did that gitu loh. And I feel nowadays when I already acknowledge the problem, I start to mingle with the people, the creator, the passion that they put into it gitu loh. I start to realize kita sebenarnya nggak boleh kalah dengan luar gitu loh. Produk kita, a lot of our people who makes it is really good gitu. Kedua, build sense of pride in our own and by exposing, developing more great stories and informations and artisans. Ketiga, share it, talk about it, discuss about it. Without sharing it, there won't be information yang terus berkembang. Marketnya nggak banyak yang tahu. Selanjutnya bagi F&B industry, keep pushing for a great quality. That's our responsibility as a chef. We need to keep creating a great food, great service, keep unique value yang akhirnya ketika orang makan, this is menarik. Oh, rendangnya ternyata gini. Oh, es cendol kok bisa dibikin kayak dragon breath gitu-gitu. So many creative thing that we can see and itu loh. Dan juga dari SDM-nya gitu loh. Mau produk ataupun human, I believe a lot of Indonesian chef are really great. Bukannya kita kalah dengan chef luar. Banyak kok chef-chef Indonesia yang kerja di luar negeri, sudah balik ke Indonesia, have a really, really good quality. Memang masih banyak SDM-SDM lain yang harus dikembangkan, tapi I believe we can do it. And then be proud, be creative. Without you being proud of our own product, being proud of our own culture, ya gimana kita mau kembangin itu gitu loh. And then last one, share our passion and keep learning. I really passionate in the industry. I really love the industry. I really love the people, the friends, and all what I've been doing. I can say I love my job. What I'm doing right now, I really love it. Gitu. And yeah, that's why I want to do this. That's why when they given me the topic, I'm super excited because I can share this with you. And so all of you guys can be in the ship together with me. And yeah, all right. Thank you guys.